second-generation Montana farmer stayed in the 1920s. She is one and has 2 children of her own. Scene 1. Place: the home of Mona Gray. The action takes place in her living room. Time: late 1960s in the fall on a weekday. Mona Gray is sitting in an old wooden folding chair near her bed. She is wearing a handmade dress and a long apron. Her hair is in 2 long braids. Her living room also serves as her bedroom. An old star quilt covers a couch. There are pictures and clay reliefs of American Indians on the wall. At the sound of a car, Mona looks up, waits, and then returns to her sewing. There is the sound of a car door shutting, followed by footsteps. Luann Jorgensen enters.
Hello? Is anybody... Oh, hello.
Hello.
You must be Mona. Mona Gray.
I know that. Who are you?
Why, everyone knows me. I'm Luann Jorgensen, Justin Jorgensen's wife.
Oh, yes. I know you. You're JJ's wife.
Uh-huh. That's exactly right. Everybody knows my husband, JJ. He's quite the character. People told me he used to carry on like a wild Indian before I tamed him and married him. He still likes to eat out of the fridge, but you know how men are.
Well, I heard a car drive up, but I thought it was my cousin Philip.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was told it would be all right if I just walked right in. I mean, that's what JJ told me.
Oh, really bold. I guess you are JJ's wife.
I'm not from here like JJ, so I didn't know. I was born and raised around Brockway, where we don't have Indians.
They must lock their doors, innit? I was raised around the Sioux, Gros Ventre, and a few Cree, but we always knocked before entering someone's home.
Well, it was just a mistake.
Did you close the door, or is it still open?
Oh, yes, I did do that. Could I sit down?
Yes. Sit there on the couch.
It's so good to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Oh? I hope it was good. From who?
Oh, you know, from different people you meet in town. They told me to come and see you.
About what?
Oh, it's something a few of the ladies in town are doing. Say, this is a lovely home. This isn't one of those free homes your people are supposed to get, is it?
This house? No. This is a good house. It used to be part of the old hospital. I had the money, so I went and bought it.
It's really nice. I love those clay. Oh, yes, clay pictures on the walls. How many of there are you? I mean, who lives here?
Oh, just my family. It seems no one else. Why?
Well, with all your family, it seems kind of small.
We like it. It's our home.
You should see our home. Justin, built it just new for me and the boys. A real nice place, just 20 miles north of town. But being that winter is moving in, we're staying in Justin's parents' old house in town. If you were to see it, I know you'd just love it.
Oh, good for you folks.
You know, I think it's really odd. You people get to vote in our elections, but we don't get to vote in your, what do you call them, tribal elections.
Luann, up until 1954, we Indian people didn't get to vote in your elections. We weren't even considered citizens in our own country until 1924. Our tribal elections decide who rules the roost on the reservation. You can vote if you're an enrolled Indian. White people have the option of voting with their feet. We lost our moccasins a long time ago.
Mona, you lost me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't be offended, but the fact is, if a non-Indian doesn't like the policies set by Indians on the reservation, they can leave. But we have nowhere else to go, to feel like ourselves. Excuse me again, Luann, but aren't you part Indian?
Me? No, of course not. We're white. I'm white. My whole family is white. Well, my grandfather was German, and my grandmother was English, but no, we don't have any Indian blood in us at all.
But I thought your grandfather was a cousin to Silas Henderson.
Silas? No.
Yes, Silas was supposed to be a half-breed. JJ's uncle?
That might be true of JJ, but not my side of the family. We're real Americans. Fourth generation Montanans.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. We would know if something like that were true.
Don't get upset, Mrs. Jorgensen. But you can never be too sure. Besides, I don't put up with too much gossip.
I don't either.
Say, would you like some tea and bannock?
Just some tea, please. No, Bansock for me.
JJ really likes bannock. He used to eat it all the time when he was with us.
He did.
Sure did. He likes his with lots of grease on it.
I'm here because the ladies of the Elks want to give Senator Fletcher something special when he comes to town, something he can take back to Washington.
I thought they already gave him a cowboy hat. One of those big black ones with a big feather and a silver band around it. At least that's what I read in the newspaper.
We have, but we want to give him something that's different from all the other Western state senators.
Well, you know, different ones tell about when President Coolidge came to Montana. Some Indian people gave him a headdress one time. I don't remember what tribe it was, but they gave it to him. Is that what you want for this man?
Oh, no, nothing that cliche. But somehow, yes, maybe something along those lines. Something, you know, something your people would have.
A block of cheese?
Yes! No! Oh, don't be silly.
I know. I have an old dancing outfit I used to wear. Oh, I know. I make dancing outfits for my kids, but only for my relatives, no one else. I guess that's not a good idea. Most of the celebrations are over now, and I don't know who could make you one on such short notice. They really make them fancy nowadays.
No, not a dancing costume. We were thinking, well, we've heard you make star quilts. We'd like you to make a star quilt for the senator. He could take it back to Washington with him and display it in his office. Something that people, when they see it, they'll know he's from Montana.
You want me to sew a star quilt for him?
We're willing to pay you.
I don't know.
We wouldn't dream of asking you to make it for free or donating it. I'm the chairwoman of the committee, and I can write a check for it. I see you're working on one now. Oh my, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. How do you do it?
I just learned to do it. It helps bring in money for what we need. Will, that's my husband, he has times when he isn't working, and then this brings in some extra money into the house when things get tight.
I just love the colors.
I use one color, and then all its shades. They all flow towards the center point.
Mona?
Mrs. Jorgensen, this quilt is not for sale.
Oh, why not? Mona, I can give you a check right now. The check is good. I know. I can make it out to myself, take it to the bank, cash it, and then bring you the money. How's that?
This star quilt is a gift for someone else.
If you don't want a check, I can get you the cash. We weren't sure if you had a checking account. I hear it's hard to cash a check if you don't have an account.
No, it isn't the check.
Well then, how much would it cost us to buy this one?
This one isn't for sale.
Why not?
This is for my nephew's giveaway.
Give a what?
It's a ceremony we have.
Oh, a ceremony. This is a ceremonial blanket? That would make it even better if the senator were to receive this one. It's so pretty.
This star quilt is special.
Let me say one thing, Mona.
This one is for my nephew.
The senator would really cherish this star quilt if he knew it was a ceremonial blanket. Did I mention the presentation of the blanket will be at the Elks Lodge? You could come if you want. It's a $50 a plate bean dinner to help raise money for his upcoming campaign. You could come and watch as we present it to him.
Mrs. Jorgensen, you must not be hearing me right. I said this quilt is not for sale.
Now, don't get upset, Mona. There is nothing to get riled about. Maybe it doesn't have to be this blanket. Could you make another quilt for us?
No, I don't know. When do you need it?
In about 3 weeks. We only want one blanket for the senator. It shouldn't be hard for you to make. We've heard you've been making these quilts for a long time.
I don't even know this man.
Here.
Reaches into her purse and removes the brochure.
It would be easier for me.
Here! This is one of the senator's campaign brochures. It talks a little about the senator, his family, their history, and what he wants to do for Montana. Please, take it and read it. I have plenty more.
I'll have to ask my husband first, and then we'll see.
Thank you, but we don't have much time.
I thought you said you wanted the quilt in 3 weeks.
I'll pay you whatever you want for it.
I still don't know. I usually don't make them and sell them like the stores do. I only do it when we are really down and out. Or if it's for someone in the family, one of our relatives.
Who did you say you were making this one for?
My nephew's giveaway. He doesn't even know I'm making it for him. It'll be a big surprise.
Then he wouldn't know if you sold it.
No, I don't think so. I can't sell you this one.
But it's such a beautiful blanket. The senator would have loved this one.
You really like this man, Mrs. Jorgensen?
Oh, yes. He's a very good man. He's done a lot for Montana, and he's going for his 3rd term. I've even met his wife, Wendy, and their kids, Bobby and Jimmy. We ate dinner with them at the Custer Hotel.
I won't sell you this one, but...
But, you'll make another one for him, would you?
I suppose I could. I'll need some more materials. Thread, cloth, cotton batting, and some chalk to mark with.
This is so wonderful. How much do you think it would cost?
Oh, it won't be much. Say $20 for the materials. I have to buy cotton at the store, and that usually runs more than the other materials I use. It might be over $30 when I get done. And then I always ask for some money for myself, for the work I do.
Really? How much? $100, $200, $300?
No. I'll charge you what I usually charge most people. It would come out to be about $80 altogether.
Why, that's cheaper than the hat we bought him last time. This is so wonderful, Mona. I'm really happy I stopped here. Be sure to read the brochure, and you can have the blanket finished in 3 weeks.
After I finish this one, I'll start his.
That's just wonderful. I'll leave you my telephone number where you can reach me. Oh, you do have a telephone, don't you?
I keep it unlisted.
Yes, well, I should leave part of the money now.
I thought you were going to pay me all of it now. But part will be all right, I suppose.
Thank you, Mona. Oh, thank you. Here, I'll need a receipt.
She reaches into her purse and removes some money.
Here's $30.
Thank you.
They exchange the receipt.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. As JJ would say, have to make some dust.
She exits.
Oh, a man for all Montanans. For the farmers, the ranchers, businessmen, and just plain regular Montana folks. I wonder if he thinks Indian people are just plain or just regular.
Blackout. Scene 2. Time, early 1970s, in the spring on a weekday. Mona is at work on a different quilt. She is very quiet. Luann is sitting on the couch. She is smoking a cigarette and drinking coffee.
And the senator was telling us all how awful some of the events were in Washington, D.C. during all the marches and riots. He and his lovely wife were just completely surrounded with long-haired, good-for-nothing people and coloreds, carrying signs, screaming and yelling. Then Justin says, "Why, Senator, you're a 4th-generation Montanan. That sounds like the old Western days with the Indians. It shouldn't have bothered you." Well, we all laughed so hard. Some of the people who were near our table broke up when they heard Justin. He could be such a card.
I'll bet he is.
I guess you had to be there. But, you know, Mona, I did tell him one thing. It's so sad about how all the young people are acting up, and then the coloreds. All the marches and protesting are slowly coming to a halt. You know, it's just wonderful none of our Indians in Montana did any of that marching stuff or protesting. It's like we have an unwritten agreement that both people understand, sort of an order to things. That's what I said. I made sure everyone in the restaurant in Billings, at the Custer Hotel, mind you, heard me. I said, at least our Indians behave.
Did anyone say anything about Wounded Knee? How those Indians took over that town? Did anyone say anything about that?
No, because that was in South Dakota. It wasn't any of our Indians here in Montana.
What about your Senator Fletcher? Did he have anything to say about that?
No, he didn't. It was South Dakota. They're just as bad as those North Dakotans. Oh, it reminds me of a little joke I heard. There was this North Dakotan.
We heard a lot of things about Wounded Knee. A lot of young people started to ask questions. They were the same questions we've been wondering about for a long time. It made Will and the council think too. What if it happened here?
Oh, Mona, it wasn't as bad as the press made it.
How do you know? Were you there?
No, but I read the newspapers like everyone else.
Maybe you don't read the same newspapers.
Oh, now what's that supposed to mean? We're both from the same area. We travel the same streets as one another. Our husbands are from this area too. We're both Montanans.
Oh, I'm an Assiniboine first, long before there was a Montana. I don't know sometimes.
Well, you saw the Gazette, the pictures they carried of the protest, all those young, long-haired Indian men holding weapons, burning the flag. It was just disgraceful. Not one of our Indians was there, I can promise you that.
You'd be surprised about the number of things you don't know.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean? Mona? Was there someone from here who was over there? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
Oh, please tell me, Mona, who was it? Someone from the Stryker family? I bet it was one of those boys. They used to drive around in the country at night, stealing batteries from the tractors. Are they Indian?
Yes, even though they don't have dark skin, but their hearts are. Their breeds, and no, it wasn't them.
They are Indian, huh? They don't look it. I always thought they were poor white trash. But who was it, Mona? Who was over there from here?
I thought you knew everything because you read it in the newspaper.
Well, no one will ever really know what happened inside that town, and there's no way something like that will ever happen here in Montana. We all get along because we know where each other belongs. And as far as who, if anybody, was involved from here, I'll find out eventually. You know how small this town is. Word will get out and half the town will know about it.
Part of this town already knows.
Oh? Oh, I see what you're getting at. Half the Indian part of the town knows about it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I didn't say that.
But that's what you meant, isn't it?
In a way, I guess I did.
Well, if it was so important, I'm sure the young man's name will appear in the Gazette by tomorrow morning when it gets around, if it really means something.
But aren't you, curious about why all that happened? And of all the times, too, things are starting to change. I remember at one time, we used to have signs hanging up like no dogs or Indians allowed. And what happened at Wounded Knee is sort of like the olden days.
Oh, now you're exaggerating things. People would never do something like that here in Montana.
Oh, yes, they did. in some areas. Now the signs are gone, but the looks on people's faces are still there.
You just want to make the newspapers. But I will say one thing. It was sad because a lot of people in that town lost a lot of valuable belongings.
Both times.
What?
I don't mean to get angry at you, Luann. Say, how does a senator like his star quilt?
Oh, yes, that's right. He loves it. He still hangs it on the wall at his office.
On the wall of his office? I thought he was going to use it for their bed.
Oh, no, Mona. It was to show how much he cares for all the people of Montana.
When I make something like that for someone, I put something special into it to help that person. Does your senator look at that?
I don't know that, Mona. I don't travel to Washington, D.C. all the time, honestly.
Will and some of my relations were mad at me for making that quilt. Will got mad and then he wanted me to make one for the man who ran against your senator.
I wondered where Joe Hopkins got his hand on a star quilt. It was you?
Yes. Will and the tribal board thought it would only be fair if I made one for him too. That way they wouldn't have so much trouble, no matter who won.
Getting into a little politicking, eh, Mona? That's so sweet.
I don't really mind. I didn't know those two men. It was my husband and relatives who worried me, though.
Is that the reason for your latest creation there?
This? No, this is for a friend of my son. He and some other people are trying to raise some money. So they asked me if I would make one so they could raffle it off.
Oh, it looks beautiful, as always.
Yes, and it's not for sale.
I wasn't asking,
I didn't mean it like that, Luann.
but it sounded like it. I didn't come here to try and get another star quilt from you. There are other women who make star quilts, you know.
Ah, I know. I told you some of their names, and they came here and told me you went to see them.
Oh, about my little project.
Yes.
I suppose you were a little jealous that I didn't ask you first.
No, I'm not jealous. It sounds interesting. But I don't mind if I'm not involved. I have a lot of things around here that will keep me busy for a long time.
Not even a little? Oh, come on now. I bet you were a little upset about the possibility of being left out.
No. Why should I be?
Because you knew I would be saving the best for last.
What?
Well, what do you think of my little project?
Do you really want to know the truth, Luann?
Sure. I've never been afraid to take praise when it was due.
Well, a few days ago, different women were coming here to my house and told me that you came to their house asking them if they made star quilts and that you were going to make a business for them. I didn't mind that at all. In fact, some of the women really like the idea. Sophie Shelter really likes it because her and her husband don't have a lot of money. It's hard for her husband, Benny, to find work. I felt good about that, but what I didn't like or was kind of upset about was the fact that you went and told those women, these women, I knew you. You told them that I said it was okay for this business project to happen. When you asked me for those names, I didn't know you were going to go and see those people. You just asked me for names. Will was very upset, too. He told me. I talked to you way too much.
Will was mad. He, of all people, should appreciate what I'm trying to do. He's probably jealous that it's a woman who came up with the idea.
No, just Will. Not just Will. But like I said, I was more than a little upset, too. I wouldn't have given you their names if I'd known you would be all that gall pushy.
Oh, Mona, you're just getting over the fact that I didn't ask you first is all.
No, I'm not. I just told you why.
Come on now, Mona. I heard what you said. I know what's going on in your mind. I bet you thought I would leave you out.
Whatever.
But with all that aside, what do you really think of the idea?
What? Haven't you been listening? Luann, I just said. Oh, never mind.
Let me explain it to you. What I wanted to do was hire all your friends and have all of you make star quilts. I'll take the star quilts you make and sell them back east, say New York, and then even the West Coast, like Los Angeles. And whatever money we make, we'll split it among everyone. No one will be left out.
Who would want to buy a star quilt in those big cities?
What? What do you mean?
If they wanted one, they could come here and hang around. Who knows? Someone might want to be friends with them and give them one for free.
That's not the point, Mona. No one will come out here.
Why not? If they have the money to buy a quilt, they could afford gas money to come out here.
Well, some of those people in the bigger cities don't really know what it's like out here. People are afraid to come out here now. They think white people aren't allowed on the reservations.
Who told them that? I suppose. And here you are, just sitting here talking with me.
When we were in Washington, D.C., we were at a party, and some folks came up and asked that very question. Are white people allowed on the reservations?
What did you say? Did you tell them the truth?
Of course I did. I told them in Montana they are. But this person who asked the question then told us he has a cousin who lives in Minnesota, and they said they have a reservation in their state that doesn't allow white people to live on it.
Oh my, really? Did he say where this was?
Minnesota.
No, what tribe?
What?
What Indian tribe?
I don't really remember what tribe he said. He wasn't too sure himself. He said it sounded something like Chippy something.
Oh. Then how do they know about star quilts and don't even know what Indian tribe is near them?
Oh, because Senator Fletcher displays his star quilt, and he gets a lot of questions about it.
Oh, I see.
And because of this, I want to start this business. There are a lot of people who would want a blanket, just like the senators. I think all of us could really make a profit from this. And all you Indian ladies have to do is keep doing what you do best, making star quilts.
But that's not all we do. We have a lot of other things we have to do just for our families.
I know, but what woman doesn't? You see, Mona, first of all, we have all of you ladies work on making star quilts. Then you give them to me. I'll package them up with the help of my son and send them to a friend of ours in New York. He'll sell them and send the money back to us. We'll take the money and split it among you Indian ladies.
Who is this friend of yours?
Oh, don't worry about him.
And you'll pay for all the materials we use?
Not all at first, just a percentage to get started. We'll all have to pitch in a little at first.
What about your friend? Is he going to pitch in a little too?
Oh, he already has. He's doing the advertising. He's already come up with a name for the company.
Company? What kind of name are you going to use?
Princess Light Sleeps Quilts.
Oh, who's that?
Who's who?
This Princess Light Sleeps. Is she a Canadian?
It's just a name. It's a made-up Indian name.
I guess it is.
What do you think, Mona?
Did you know some of the women who will be making these star quilts are not only Assiniboine but Sioux as well?
Yes! Oh, yes. Assiniboine and Sioux.
Assiniboine.
Yes, whatever, Mona. That's why we're calling it the Princess Light Sleeps Company. People can pronounce it easier. Mona, do you want to become part of this business or not?
Well, you do have some women who do very good work. I don't really see why you need me.
Because you're my friend. You helped give me the idea.
Oh, I don't know. I think you should let me think about this one first, not like the last time.
A lot of your friends are excited about it. You won't be working in a building like a regular company, but out of your homes. You'll have a chance to visit each other and work at each other's house.
And these other women, do they like it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I suppose so.
You mean you'll do it?
Yes.
Well, then I better go and get things started. I have a lot of things to do.
I have a lot of work to do myself. Let me know what all happens.
I will.
All these women really want to do this, huh? What a thing to do. It's going to be a big project. Could be a real good business. Maybe later we could sell our beadwork the same way.
Luann begins to exit.
Yes, it is wonderful. Feel good about it. You have a lot of influence, Mona. Most of the women were waiting to hear you say you'd be part of it before they would do it. Goodbye!
She exits. Blackout. Scene 3. Time, mid-1980s in the summer on a weekday. Mona is folding a star quilt. Near her is a large plastic garbage bag. She makes a final inspection of the quilt. She hears the sound of a car, goes to the window and looks out, then hurries toward the door.
Oh no, oh no.
Mona! Mona! Are you home?
Yes, but I don't think you should come into the house.
What? I don't see a sign saying, white people not allowed. Besides, I thought we were friends.
You never get things right. I didn't think it would be good for us to visit today. I'm tired today anyway, and my face will show that and a lot of other things too.
I just want to say something, just for a few minutes at least.
Mona stands for a moment and then backs away from the door.
I suppose it would be all right if we just visit, but not too long.
I see you finally took up the habit of locking your door. We have too.
Things have gotten worse since Reagan took office.
Oh, we can't blame that on the president. Oh, say, that looks nice. I hear Will is doing his third term on the tribal board now. You shouldn't complain.
Well, that's what I mean. Instead of things improving, some are just getting worse. Money is getting harder to come by. Go ahead, sit down and rest.
See, I knew we were still friends. I must be doing something right.
No, this is common hospitality, Leah.
We all have it, Mona.
Have you come to apologize finally?
For what?
For the business offer you brought here the last time you came to my house?
I thought it turned out great for some of us.
You still don't know what happened.
What are you talking about?
To this day, some of those women will talk to me.
Now, wait a minute. It wasn't my fault. Those women backed out on us. Left us without even telling us. No letter, not even a phone call. Besides, I took a loss like everyone else.
They didn't leave you right away. They did work for about 2 months and made over 25 quilts, and you were the only one of us who could afford to take a loss, especially with that oil well on your land.
If I had known all we were going to do was go over that old business project, I wouldn't have come inside your house.
I find that hard to believe, since that's all you ever come here to do, was some bad business project.
It really wasn't my fault. How was I supposed to know the man in New York was selling the star quilts for over $800 a piece? It took me 2 months before I found out.
And then we heard you were trying to get a share of that money for yourself. Your son was the one who accidentally told us when he came to pick up the quilts that day. Because you couldn't do it, because you were on the phone talking with that man. And then you came to my house and tried to make it sound like you were doing it all for us.
But you knew yourself. Somehow you got word.
It was Will's cousin who was working in the BIA in Washington, D.C., who called Will and told him, I couldn't believe I had all those women working for only a small amount. Did you know, Luann, that some of them are actually hawking their belongings to buy thread so they could stay in your little project? Some of those women bought large amounts of material and were left holding the bag because their families went without. And here, when it came down to it, the large amounts were never going to come our way. I didn't want to believe it at first. It really shamed me out.
It wasn't your fault.
In a way it was. I did something I shouldn't have done.
Well, I look back, and the old saying comes back to me, ignorance is bliss.
My people have never seen stupidity as an honorable thing.
There you go again, breaking it down into an issue of race. Race has nothing to do with it. We were just a bunch of country bumpkins who were taken in by a city slicker.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. But we were the ones who did most of the work. You had us doing most of the packaging as well.
I worked just as hard.
I guess you did. You were the only one who could make the long-distance phone calls.
I should leave.
I won't stop you. I should go have my head examined at the IHS while I'm at it.
I only wanted to help, those other women really still mad about it?
Yes. We were all surprised when Will was elected. I wasn't kidding about that.
Well, businesses are like that sometimes. No one can predict what will happen. It's that way in a lot of other businesses, not just us. Say, I understand that some of those new council members get new houses when they get on. Say, I understand that some of those new council members get new houses when they get on the board. Why haven't you gotten one?
If Indian people were to get all these free things like you've heard, we could all be millionaires and there wouldn't be any reservations. We could buy land and start our own countries. Luann, this is my house. I bought it, me. I bought it with money I made from leasing my land to a farmer. Do you think I stole this house? Oh dear, why did you come here?
Now, there isn't any need to get upset, Mona. It's like I said, I'm just here for a visit, and yes, I'm a little sorry for what happened.
You say that every time. But I don't know if your tongue, brain, and heart are connected.
What? Oh, that's funny, isn't it? I guess that's how you and me are supposed to work things out. But when it comes down to it, Mona, even though you're an Indian, you've always been a good friend to me. Oh, I see you're making a new quilt.
No, I just finished it. I'm getting ready to take it over to the community hall. My niece is coming to pick me up in an hour or so.
Really? Who was this one for?
You don't know her. No one really did.
Someone local?
Yes, Cheryl Horse, one of my granddaughters from Poplar.
Oh, is this one of those give us something blankets?
No, it's for her burial.
Oh, Mona, oh my dear, I didn't know. I'm so sorry to hear it. How did she pass away? Here, sit down. You poor thing.
Her mother and auntie, they were coming to Wolf Point. They were waiting to get on the highway, and a drunk driver swerved and slammed his car into their car. Her mother and auntie were the only ones who...
Oh, Mona, I'm so sorry. Really, I'm so sorry to hear it.
Cheryl. She was my boy's youngest daughter, his only girl. I was going to name her this summer. I was going to name her after my grandmother. I was planning to make a whole bunch of quilts for her, this little one. They, my boy, her parents, asked me if I would do the naming ceremony for them. Now instead of doing that, they want something to put on the coffin. This is the last one for me. I want to quit making quilts after this one.
I'm sorry to hear it.
She was so young, too young to leave this world.
I know how you feel. We lost a grandson of ours not long ago.
Yes, I remember now. Oh, I'm sorry, Luann.
Kyle was visiting us and wanted to ride horses. He was doing fine until the horse hit a gopher's hole and threw him. JJ took it harder than I expected. His mother was still young, and so was our boy. They didn't know what to do, so I had to make all the arrangements, just like you're doing now. So many changes between us. I've always wondered if we're getting closer or just growing farther apart.
It's always that way with people. Just when you think you know, something happens.
Mona, I know this is a bad time for you. I have to be honest with you, there was another reason why I came here. Now, I don't think I could ask you. It doesn't seem like the right thing to do now. I was going to ask you...
No, Luann, I can't do it anymore. My eyes are really bad. The doctors say I have diabetes. I might lose my sight if I don't quit. And even then, I just told you, I quit. I can't go back now.
You knew? I was going to ask you when I never said a word.
Leave. Quick, hurry up. Please don't say any more, Luann.